from UNRWA and speak to its spokesperson, Jonathan Fowler, who joins me live from Amman. Thank you so much for being with us on the program, Jonathan. As I said, I first want to get your reaction on what we're seeing happen there in occupied East Jerusalem, Israel decimating yet another UNRWA facility, with reports of now illegal settlements being planned to replace that facility.
This is a very, very dark day for international law. This is much, much bigger than UNRWA. I mean, let's not forget this is a United Nations facility. This has been invaded by a United Nations member state in full defiance of international law, ripping up all diplomatic conventions to go in and demolish United Nations property. So this is, as I said, it's about much, much more than UNRWA, because this sets an appalling precedent for international law around the globe. And, you know, as our Commissioner General Philippe Lazzarini has said, the moral compass here has gone, because there were government ministers and members of the Israeli parliament watching this operation while it was happening, celebrating it. We've had municipal officials in Jerusalem calling for the annihilation and the elimination of UNRWA staff, incitement to murder. This is appalling, and it's the latest step in a pattern, and this pattern has to stop.
It's going to have a grave impact on Palestinians as well. As we know, UNRWA is crucial for Palestinians in occupied Palestine, in Gaza, the diaspora, the millions of Palestinians that do not live in Palestine, particularly because it represents their right to return.
Yes, I mean, basically the right to return was set down independently of UNRWA a year before we were created, and in 2 years before we became operational. So we're part of a context, but even if UNRWA were to be dismantled, brushed away overnight by this action by the Israeli authorities, the rights of Palestine refugees would not disappear, and Palestine refugees themselves would not disappear. I mean, it seems to be that the end game is to attack the right, and that we are a stumbling block, or deemed to be a stumbling block along the way. But I want to emphasize, we're unbowed. We continue doing our work. We have been pushed into a situation where we have to adapt to unacceptable circumstances, but we continue to be the largest humanitarian organization operating inside the Gaza Strip. We're absolutely crucial to the humanitarian response in the rest of the West Bank. We continue to provide education and healthcare and other services for millions of Palestine refugees across the region. So not just in the occupied Palestinian territory, but also in Jordan, Lebanon, and Syria. That's our mandate. That's what the work that the United Nations General Assembly has given to us, and we continue to do it.
If Israel does eventually manage to completely dismantle UNRWA, what would that mean for Palestinians who heavily rely on the organization for day-to-day essential goods, for hundreds of students that study in UNRWA schools? Do other organizations have the capacity to do what UNRWA does today?
Absolutely not. There is nobody with the capacity to do what we do. And indeed, within the rest of the international system, within the rest of the UN system, there's nobody with the mandate to do what we do. So, this is cutting to the heart of how international organizations are meant to be allowed to operate. But, anywhere around the world, if you have an education and healthcare system and you suddenly say, the people who run that education and healthcare system can no longer do their job, go away. What are you supposed to say to the people who are supposed to receive the services? I mean, this is where the international community needs to step up. There has to be a pushback on this. I mean, we've said this today. We've said this repeatedly in the past. This has to end. It has to end now. This cannot be allowed to continue, because we have Palestine refugees who are in need of our services, and those needs do not just disappear overnight.
Why has it been so difficult for the international community to stop Israel from breaching international law? Because this isn't the first time that they're attacking an UNRWA facility.
I mean, I can't speculate on why particular countries do or don't do things, but what I can say is, I mean, the International Court of Justice has been affirmative and repeatedly restated this, most recently in October. It is incumbent upon the State of Israel to facilitate UNRWA's operations, not impede or prevent them. And sadly, we're seeing impeding and prevention. In addition, the International Court of Justice has underscored that East Jerusalem is an occupied territory. So, the state of Israel has absolutely no right to do what it has done today. And on top of that, this is a United Nations compound, so this is also a breach of international law. But as to why governments don't push back on this or do push back on this, that's for them. That's a question for them.
Okay, Jonathan Fowler, thank you so much for being with us here on the NewsHour and sharing that insight with us.